Okay, so we will get started now. Welcome, everyone. My name is Connor Brennan, and I am going to give a presentation today about the ReSound program. Um, I was one of the developers of this program, and I'm based in Ireland in IADT, in the Institute of Art, Design and Technology. It's one of the three partners as part of Film EU that have developed this program. So before I get started, just to say that I'm giving this presentation on my own, so you won't be able to turn on your microphones, but if you have any questions, you can drop them into the chat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a presentation for about 15, 20 minutes, and then we'll open it up to questions that people might have on the program there. So I just wanted to check if someone could just indicate if you can hear me okay in the chat there. If somebody just wants to say if you can hear me, that's be okay. Thumbs up, thanks. Yeah, that's good. So you can hear me okay. All right. So I'm going to give a presentation. Just to be clear, this is being recorded. So in case there's any people who later on would like to watch it back anyway. So just be cognizant of that. Okay, hang on a second. Let me just share my screen here. And one moment, sorry, I need to share it with sound. Apologies. Okay, so I'm going to just give this presentation. One second. And if there are any questions, if you could just drop them into the chat. I'll be checking on it as we're going through it anyway. Okay. So can you all see that? Yeah, is that okay? Okay, just one second there. Sorry. Okay, Andreas, sorry, I see that Andreas can't hear. Is anybody else having trouble there hearing before I start? Okay, okay, so Andreas, it appears. Okay, okay. Grant, sorry. So it does look like other people can hear. Okay, Grant. So look, let me just go on with the presentation. Can you all see the ReSound website there? Yeah, is that okay? All good over here. Yeah. Cool. Great stuff. Okay, let's go. So, ReSound. I'm delighted you all could join us today to talk about this. This is one of the first kind of public-facing things we've done around the ReSound program, and I'm delighted to kind of talk to you about it today. Today is the 4th of March. So my name is Connor Brennan, and I'm one of the developers of the ReSound program. I've worked on this program for a number of years since its inception. So I want to talk about the program, what it is, who's involved, and the application process, as well as some of the associated partners on this program. So if I could just start by giving you a little bit of an overview. So what this is it's an Erasmus plus joint master's degree, Erasmus Mundus joint master's degree. And it will be the first year it's going to run in this September. And it is part of the Film EU Alliance. All right, so what is that? So Film EU is a European Universities Alliance that started about 4.5 years ago. And it originally consisted of Lusofana University in Lisbon, Lucca School of Arts in Belgium, and IADT. And then later on, the Baltic Film and Media School from the University of Tallinn joined us. And recently, we have added 4 new partners. Well, in the last 2 years, we've added 4 new partners. So this consortium of institutes and universities are working together to provide research and provision in the field of film and media across Europe. And there are a number of European universities alliances, but this is one of the only ones in the creative and cultural sectors, and one of the only ones that involves film and media as well. Well, we're the only one that involves film and media, but one of the only ones in the creative and cultural sector. So just one second, there's a lot of people I see trying to get in there. Apologies for just one moment, I just need to exit this. There's a few people trying to get back in here. Okay, there we go. So what does Film EU do? Well, so far Film EU has run a lot of research projects, and you can learn more about it from the website. But in addition to that, it runs a number of master's programs. So some programs that you might have heard around Film EU would be the Kino Eyes, which is the fiction filmmaking program, Doc Nomads, which is probably the longest running of our programs, which is documentary filmmaking, Reanima, the animation related program, Replay, which I was also involved with in the development of, which is the video games program, and Film Memory, which is our newest. Well, sorry, ReSound is the very newest, but Film Memory was the one that was before ReSound, and it's to do with audiovisual heritage. And so these are the kind of suite of master's programs that the Film EU offer, but there are a number of other activities that it engages with. So as part of this, we've put together a application through the European Commission for a new sound masters, and we were lucky enough to receive funding for this program. And that program is why you're all here today. It's called ReSound. So ReSound is a 4-semester, 120 credit Masters of Arts in Sound. Okay, so what that basically means is that it runs over a 2-year period, and it involves 3 institutes: the Institute of Art, Design and Technology in Dublin, Ireland, Lusofona University in Lisbon, Portugal, and LMTA in Vilnius in Lithuania. And this is the first year we're offering this program, and it's the first year it's been funded as well. So the first intake will be in this September, subject to validation. So what this basically means is we're just going through a quality assurance validation procedure at the moment with some of our quality assurance procedures, but it has been fully funded from the European Commission. So you may have seen this video before. I think it's a good introduction to the program and what the ambition of the program is. So what I'll do is I'll just play this video for you as well. And I think it might be useful to play it outside of the presentation. Some of you may or may not have already seen this anyway. So just one second. There we go. Just make sure. So can you all just let me know if you can hear this as well when I play it? Okay.
Was?
Sound is the unseen. Sound is the mysterious.
Sound can be your magic tool.
Sound can invoke a series of thoughts and feelings.
Sound is in art. Sound is in film. Sound is in music. Sound is everywhere.
ReSound encourages performance and installation, music and film.
ReSound amplifies the voices of sound artists from all around the world.
You have a unique opportunity to meet your colleagues and learn from them.
ReSound inspires,
teaches, encourages.
to take sound, to mold it, to sculpt it, to use it in ways it hasn't been used before.
Great.
Mr. Vice President, thank you for being
not that video. Great stuff. So that is a little video overview of the ambition around ReSound. So we dreamed this program up a number of years ago, and it's quite an ambitious program in a European context, but also what we're trying to achieve with it. So it's about trying to in addition, growing the provision of sound and sound education across Europe and getting different perspectives from different institutes and from different students from all over the world. It's also about trying to carve a distinct path for sound within the creative and cultural sectors. There's lots of masters in audio production and in film and media, but in terms of pure sound and what its impact could be. So what we're going to do is just talk a little bit about the program as a whole, okay? So, sorry, there's a problem there from Jordan. Jordan says he can't see. Can anyone else not see the screen there? Okay, so I can see it. We can see. Okay. Okay, so it's just an individual problem there, I'm afraid, Jordan, anyway. But if you might just be able to listen into what we're going to talk about anyway. So let's talk about the program. And then we'll talk about the applications process. So the program, as I said, he was kind of ambitious when we put in our application to the European Commission, and indeed when we dreamed up what we could possibly do between our institutes. So it focused on a range of core subjects within the field of sound and sound studies, including creation and production. And it's structured around three interconnecting conceptual pillars, which is around the impact of sound in societal skills required for that process and the creative application of sound. And these are kind of core to the principles within the program. And societal might seem like a strange one, but it is kind of one of the big overarching themes, like what is the impact of sound in our society and in our cultures. And indeed, what in your cultures as well, as you bring them into the ReSound program and help us explore this as well. And it hopefully will give us an idea of kind of future work and identifying the kind of places where we can make impact for sound. Skills as well is very, very important. There are lots of very particular technical and creative skills that you will learn within this program. So in terms of capturing, manipulating, and working with sound, it is really important that you have high-level technical skills coming out of this program. And so we are going to train you in a lot of different fields around sound, whether that's from a very computing-based background to a practical base, to working in the film and media industries, to technically manipulating sound. There are loads of different skills which are going to be on offer in this program. And the other pillar is on the creativity. So the creative pillar will allow students to explore the creative and artistic possibilities of sound. So within this pillar, students will combine sound and other media. So how does sound work with other mediums as well, whether it's video games, film, television, image, installation? It's really about how can we creatively dream up where sound is going to go in the way in which technology and media are transforming. So within this program, you're probably wondering about how the structure of it is formed. So as I mentioned to you already, it's a 4-semester program, which that basically means that there are different semesters in different locations. The first semester is in the Institute of Art Design in Technology in Dublin, Ireland. So that will be starting in this September. So if you were lucky enough to get onto this program, you'll be starting and meeting me on the very first day in September. And that will be in Dublin, Ireland. We will have a term in Dublin, everyone together as a core, and we will have visiting lecturers from our other institutes, and partner institutes beyond our 3 partners, also within the Film EU consortium, engaging in either online or in-person tutorials within this semester, and this will happen across the entire program. And then, so that'll be from this September. And then in January next year, we'll move into Lusofona in Lisbon. So that'll be the 2nd semester. Now that then brings us all the way to May next year. And for the summer, there are no taught classes. You can continue to develop your ideas around what you might like to do in your project and work within your work about building your network. But there'll be no taught classes during that first summer semester. Then the 3rd semester starts in September next year. So in September 2026, you will start in LMTA in Vilnius in Lithuania. And you will spend 1 semester there. As part of this, so then that will complete the initial mobility. As part of this program, you will then have to decide on a major project or a thesis project, which will be for your final semester, your 4th semester, which will be starting in January 2027. That's correct. And we will split our class group into 3 equal quotas a third going back to IADT, a third going to Lusofana, and a third going to LMTA, depending on your skills, your project, and the resources it might require. And then you will spend that entire last semester in one of those institutes completing your thesis, with possibly additional supervision from one of our partners, depending on the project. So we're really excited about the main thesis project, about the potential of what this could be as well. But this is what the mobility would look like, and this will take place over a 2-year period. If you've looked at the website as well already, you'll probably have seen a list of some of the modules there. And this is what it looks like. And I'll just give you a brief overview of this. So in IADT, you will be learning about a number of elements, including acoustics around sound and how sound behaves in a room and how we perceive sound, and psychoacoustics and acoustics. Audio and music production, this is about recording and manipulating sound, recording and capturing sound in a studio environment. So this is a studio-based module involving microphones and mixing consoles and recording. Sound synthesis and sampling, this is a module which relates to the creation of sound using software, specifically about designing tools as well to manipulate sound. So this module currently will be taught in C-Sound, which is an open source application for creating software and also for composing music as well. So we've an excellent lecture on this module. Interactive systems. This is a module which I will be teaching, which is about the potential for people and audiences to engage with interacting sound in unusual and unique ways. So this might be through different types of tools, cameras, physical devices, and putting things into different forms. So it'll be very much a kind of a practical based module with some elements around creating systems that groups of people can interact with. So nearly like installations or instruments around this as well. And sound and psychology is about how as audiences we interpret sound and how it's been used over the last number of decades and even centuries. And then you'll move on to Lusofana. And Lusofana is a wonderful institute in Lisbon, which I have been lucky enough to work with some of their lecturers over the last number of years in developing this program. And you will see there are a number of modules there. So some of them carry on from the first semester modules. So the sound and music interface will also have an interactive element within it. There's now you can see some modules around film sound. So there is an element of film sound within this program. So you'll see elements around film and audio post-production tools and film sound theory, history and aesthetics as well. And one of the modules you'll see in there is all of a sudden you'll see interdisciplinary project incubation. So what this is basically about is the idea that you'll have to do a large-scale thesis project in your 4th semester. But because of the logistics of movement, you'll have to start planning that kind of very early on. And this module will help you develop what you think you might like to do with your project, what sort of discipline you might work in, and what kind of collaborators you might need. And this might help select what institute you will be going towards. In addition, in Lusofana, you will also be gaining a lot more kind of technical skills around things like Pro Tools within that program. And that leads us on to LMTA in Lithuania. And there are modules there you can see continuing our film sound practices. And within the 3 different partners, there's quite an extensive range of physical resources which you'll get to interact with. And I was recently in LMTA and they have some amazing facilities there as well. And there'll be elements in sound design and immersion and sound concepts around the use of sound in sound art. And also around the capture of sound in sound and the environment as well. So things like Foley and location recording will be involved in that element as well. But that leads us into the thesis preparation module, which will help to refine your research methods. So as part of your thesis module in your 4th semester, you will have to get ready for understanding how you do that type of research. And this module will do that, whether it's traditional written thesis or a practice base or a blend of the practice and thesis. Its module will show you research methods around those elements. So it's preparing you for your major project. We're most excited really about the kind of potential of what a thesis might look like. I mean, I could dream up 100 ideas of what it could be, but really it's up to the students based on their experience to think about what the impact of sound could be. And put that into practice as either a research project or as a practical project or an installation or a film or a recording or a piece of software or a combination of all of these things. So there's some really, really exciting potential within that. I'm just going to check on the chat just for a second, just to see how we're doing. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure we can still see everything there as I'm talking. And then if we just go on to talk a bit about the program, there its modules within it. So how do you get into this program, and what does that look like? So you might have already seen this through looking at the website or being in contact with Michelle from the ReSound email, but I'll just go through a few of these requirements and how you apply. So the first thing to say is that at the moment, you will need to have a bachelor's degree at a minimum, and that's at the European Qualification Framework level 6, okay? So there'll be maybe a mapping exercise if you're coming from a jurisdiction outside of Europe, where you will have to map your qualification to a EQF level 6. And that degree can be in any sort of sound-related discipline. It can be in sound, it can be in pure music, it can be in film, it can be in media studies, or it could be in another discipline, any other discipline, as long as you also have relevant experience in sound as well. So maybe you're a few years out of graduating from a computer science degree and you've been working in audio for a number of years. Well, then those two elements combined could be very, very, would meet that minimum requirement. This program is entirely taught in English. So there's a need for a proof of proficiency in the English language, and we can have a look at the website to see what that is as well. But this is an essential part. So if you do not meet these two minimum requirements, unfortunately, you cannot apply for this. You will not get past the initial applications process. Just one second. There's a few more people I can hear trying to get in. So let me just let them in there. Okay, so and how do you apply, and what does the application look like? Well, the application has a number of steps, and you might have seen this through the ReSound website, but you need to have a copy of your passport, a transcript of your academic transcripts, whether that is an undergraduate transcript or if maybe you already have a master's transcript, so they need to be submitted, a CV of works that explaining your curriculum vitae about possible works you've been involved with, 2 letters of recommendation, one of which must be academic. So maybe have a professional letter and an academic from when you were studying. And then this is key, a letter of motivation of why you would like to do the program. And I just want to be clear, that's 1,000 characters max. That's not 1,000 words. That's 1,000 characters. So that's an awful lot less than 1,000 words. So 1,000 characters maximum. And you can using Word or Google Docs, you can calculate how many characters you're using. So just be clear, that's not words, that's characters. In addition, if you could dream up a kind of project that you would like to do at the end of this for your thesis, we're looking for an example of around 500 words. Of course, you can change this as you go through the program, but the kind of we'd like to know kind of projects that you would like to work in. And there could be collaboration. Like we have numerous links with animators, video game producers, film and television producers, and students who are working on all these programs, software, loads of things. So there could be collaboration involved in that as well. And then a portfolio. And I'm going to talk about the portfolio in a moment. I just wanted to mention that as a result of some feedback we're getting from a lot of the applicants is we've extended the deadline to the 24th of March at 5 o'clock Central European time. So it was originally the 10th of March, which was Monday coming, but we've now extended it. And beyond that, there will be no more extensions. That is it, because we still have to go through an extensive process of interview and selection. So that is the final deadline, but it is now going to be the 24th of March. So we have an additional 2 weeks. And then let's just talk about the portfolio. So for the portfolio, we're looking for 3 to 5 examples of sound-related works. And what do we mean by that? Well, we're being quite broad in the sense that they can be maybe audio recordings or audio-related outputs, or they could be video-related outputs. They could be songs, music, soundtracks, art, electroacoustic music, performance-based. Quite broad initially on this. And they should be submitted as either audio files or video files, or perhaps a portfolio website where you submit a link, and in that portfolio website you include these materials, but you can submit the files themselves. And then you should include a short paragraph on each of the pieces, explaining your motivations behind it and the provenance. Like, what did you do within the piece, and what were you hoping to achieve, and what do you think you could like to improve upon it? We've had a few queries about people who are coming from a slightly more technical background. Maybe they've involved with a lot of software and they've designed software or a piece of plugin. Not that many, but a few. So we're looking not for people to submit pieces of software. If you have designed or worked on something kind of that's a bit more technical, a video walkthrough is what we're asking you to submit, as opposed to the actual piece itself. Because what's going to happen is we're going to review all these portfolios, and they can only be between 10 and 15 minutes maximum. Okay, so if you have 30 pieces, pick your top 5 that you think can make the most impact. And often what's useful in that is have a contrast rather than have 5 of the same sort of style. And so a maximum 15 minutes, because we're going to have to go through an awful lot of these, and we can only give each portfolio 15 minutes in total anyway. And just to reiterate, the deadline will be the 24th of March at 5 o'clock Central European time. Okay, so that's what a portfolio would look like. I should also highlight a couple of other elements before we start opening up to questions. One of the big kind of benefits of this program, and one of the things I've worked on for a number of years and what the funding allows us, is that there are a number of scholarships available for it. There are lots of rules associated with the scholarships, and you can learn a lot about that from the ReSound website, which I'll put the link up to when I get to the end of this presentation. But there are scholarships available. There are a number of them. And these scholarships will be awarded on the basis of excellence. So it's basically the students who apply and are submitting the highest quality portfolio and application will and indicate that they would like to apply for a scholarship. The submissions that are of the highest quality will be awarded the scholarships. And those scholarships, what do they entail? They are a no fee, which means you don't have to pay any fees for the program, and you receive a scholarship stipend, which is, I think, €1,400 a month for the duration of the program. So that's over the 2-year period there. So that's something that's really quite attractive, and this is co-funded by the European Commission. In addition to getting into the program and the scholarships, I just want to talk a little bit about, for a moment, about the kind of people we're working with and the caliber of industry partners that we're going to be working with. So as part of this, I've reached out to a number of high-level companies and organizations that are involved with sound, and they are going to collaborate with us on this program. So that includes Dolby, the Audio Engineering Society, MPC Select, which is the organization around the film schools, other software providers such as Sound Particles and Cycling 74, and educational partners such as the School of Sound and James. In addition, Avid, which of course is the is the creator of Pro Tools, is also going to be involved with this program. We're just finalizing what that is going to look like as well. So these are some, but not all, of our associated partners. These are companies that have seen what we're doing and would like to get involved with this as well. So we have established these relationships, and we're going to build them into the program. So this is great validation to the work we've actually been doing. So that's kind of an overview of the program and the mobilities, the application process, the portfolio, the scholarships, and the associated partners. So I just wanted to say thanks very much for listening to that, and just to highlight again that the deadline for this now is the 24th of March at 5 o'clock Central European time. Okay, and my name again is Conor Brennan, and I'm based in IADT in Delirium, and I'm one of the developers of this program. And if you want to find out more information, or you have any questions after this presentation, you can email info@resound-ma.eu. Okay. So let me just wait 1 second there. So before we go on just any further, I know you've probably all looked at it already, but just to say, here is the link for the ReSound website. There are an awful lot of questions will be answered on that website, including there's a very good FAQ, frequently asked questions, which will answer a lot of the kind of technical questions that you might have. So if you need additional clarity before you drop me an email, maybe have a look through the website. There's some great resources within it. So what we might do now is open us up to a few questions. I see a few are dropping into the chat there. So we have about 25 minutes. So if anybody wants to drop some questions in, I'll try and answer them as they come up. Right. So I have a question. The first question I can see here apparently is, right, for someone without formal experience in sound but with a deep interest in the industry, what are the best ways to prepare before applying? So with this question here, I'm presuming you already have a degree, and if you have no formal experience in sound, you will need to create a sound portfolio. So whether you're a musician or perhaps you're you have an interest in recording or producing sound, you will need to produce some audio-related works for the portfolio. If that's going to be too much of a challenge between now and the 24th of March, might I just let everybody know that this program is funded for 4 iterations. So what that basically means is if you don't get into it this year, we'll be running it again 3 more times. Okay, so there'll be another intake in September 26, 27, and 28. Okay, so we will have 4 more intakes. So if you need a bit of time to get and work on your portfolio, you might not get into the program this year, but perhaps in the future years if you have time to develop your program. Because we're looking for people who have experience in sound. So if you don't have experience in sound, perhaps you need to build that up. Okay, hope that answers your question a little bit there. Moina, is it? Momina. Okay, accommodation and travel expenses would be covered in the scholarship. So let me be quite clear. There is a stipend, which means that you get a monthly fee and your fees are covered. So you need to pay for your own accommodation out of this stipend. So there's no additional funding beyond that. Unless there are some schemes that in your local countries you could apply for. You cannot apply for another European funding stream if you receive the Erasmus Plus funding. So that stipend, €1,400, does not cover your accommodation, does not cover your travel expenses. You have to pay for that out of your travel expenses. It's out of your stipend. Okay? So hopefully that answers your question there. I just have a number there. I don't have a name for that one. By when will the accreditation be finished? Okay, so the accreditation process is a 3-pronged accreditation process. So this program will be accredited across the 3 different institutes. And I will say that it will be I'm not sure exactly when it'll be finished, but I would be confident that we will be able to get through that process. I don't have an exact date for when that will be, but there are some technical kind of quality assurance things that we need to iron out, but I think it will be okay with the local accreditation. How many students will be admitted? Oh, that's a great question. So a maximum of 24. Okay, there's a maximum of 24. However, because this program was launched late because of the way the funding stream works, I would imagine the first year might be a little bit lower than that. And then in every other year, it'll be somewhere between 21 and 24. That's what we're kind of looking for within this program. I can't imagine we're going to be getting, I don't see a time ever we're going to go above that 24 number. But I think 21 is the good number just based on the resourcing that we'd be looking for anyway. I noticed there are some 101 classes, like taking Pro Tools. Is this required for everyone or just those who need to learn? So it's basically that within the, it's just a standard. Okay, so if we're partnering with Avid, one of the things they suggested was that we run one of these programs. If someone might be very familiar, Natasha, with using Pro Tools, and I totally understand it, like I imagine we're going to have a varied amount of students of different skill levels. Some might have used Pro Tools for years. It might be more Reaper or Logic or Ableton or something completely different that I'm not aware of. So yes, you will have to do this. It'll be an assessment as part of it, of one of your modules based in the Lusofona modules. Okay. If you apply once and don't get in, could you apply again next year? Absolutely. Absolutely. 100% Alex. Now, from talking, this is the first program that we've run in IADT. We've been involved in many of these programs over the years, but this is a program that we are leading out. And from experience from the other film EU masters that I mentioned, sometimes you do see a pattern of people applying year on year and their portfolio is getting better. One thing I should say is that what happens is after you submit your portfolio, right? I just want to be clear about this, and it's listed on the website. You go through a kind of a check process to see if you're applicable, as in your degree and your English proficiency. Then the lecturers shortlist you, and then based on all of these criteria, depending on how many applications we get, we'll then interview a number of students. Not everyone will be interviewed. If you're not interviewed, unfortunately, you might have to apply again next year. If you are interviewed, you're only in with a chance of getting into the program. You're not guaranteed to it. Those interviews will be held in the last week of April online. Okay, so that will be a short listing of the students. And then once that happens, you will then be offered a place. And if you accept that place, we have to register your name with the European Commission in May. So it's a little bit of a shorter runway, but we would see some students repeatedly applying for programs and getting better at the application process and improving their portfolio and improving their interview. So it's a combination of your application and your portfolio gets you to the interview, and in conjunction with the interview, you will then be possibly offered a place depending on the amount of applicants. Okay, when it comes to specific examples thesis projects in the applications, do we have an indicated philosophical direction, or do we have to submit a potential specific potential project? I mean, I think it's fair to do either. If you wanted to be very specific, or if you had a philosophical kind of concept, Andreas, if there was an area that you would really like to study and really investigate more, and something that really excites you, if you could convey that in that short paragraph, that'd be great. But if you had if you were able to be specific, that would also help. So I mean, I'd be open to both, to be honest with you there. Okay. Good afternoon, Connor. I'd like to know if the grade point average is considered for the scholarships. So, Catalina, it will be possible. It will be part of it. So the scholarships are awarded on excellence. So, for example, if we have two students with nearly identical scores in their portfolio and identical scores in the interview, and they have very similar degrees, and one has a much higher qualification than the other, they may get a priority. So that will be part. That will only feed into part of the selection process around getting into the program first, and then possibly into the scholarships. Not everyone who will be offered a place on this program, and we should be really clear, this will be offered a scholarship. There are not enough scholarships for every student, but there's a good percentage of scholarships. I'm not going to talk about that at the moment, but not everyone who's offered a place will be offered a scholarship. Okay. And I see there, yeah, how many students will be eligible for a scholarship. So again, that is kind of sensitive information, and it will depend on the amount of applications that we have this year, and also a little bit around how many students will be paying for themselves this year. So there's a combination of issues. So it is a good proportion of them, a very good proportion of them, but it's not everybody. So there will be a number of self-pay. There will be a good portion of the students as well offered places, but they will have to be on a self-pay for that. So the same question below, how many students will be offered a scholarship? So that question came from two different people there. Regarding the portfolio, coming from a film background, if I don't have previous work in sound, could I create something specifically for this application? Absolutely, you could. And if you have a film background, if you have any sort of sound element in it, maybe you did some sound design for your film, maybe you did some location recording for the sound, you could submit that. Maybe you did some editing of the sound. I don't know, something like that. Anything like that would be useful. Some video is absolutely fine, but you'd need to have some interest in sound. This is a highly prestigious master's in sound. We are not looking to train people who haven't an interest in sound or an experience in sound from the first step. You need to have some knowledge in this space to get into this program, really. Okay, and there could be parallel disciplines like film, for example. Okay, can I include 6 or 7 instead of 5 examples related to work in my portfolio and still keep it to 15 minutes? I'm afraid not, Ivana. We're going to be very strict on that. So if you submit 7, we're going to look at the first 5. Okay, so please only submit 5. Can I still apply if the academic year in my bachelor's program finishes in October this year with a graduation in April 26, or should I have graduated by the time you've applied, applying from South Africa? Interesting question. you would need to be able to. The program starts in September, the first week in September. So you need to have everything needs to be done by that period in time. So if you're still working on your program and you're still completing your bachelor's degree, I'm afraid you wouldn't be applicable if you're not finished all of your work and submitted and gotten your qualification before the start date of the program. In addition, because that's so late, you wouldn't be applicable for a scholarship either, because they need to be registered much earlier than October. So it sounds like you might be talking about the following year application, but maybe there's some way you can get a letter from your institute indicating that you of a possible grade that you will be going to get based on your studies thus far for the year. Okay. I am Sana from Pakistan. I did my bachelor's in TV broadcasting and digital media. Yeah, I've done several projects during my degree related to editing a short film, documentary, and news package. But I believe that this program is specific to sound design, and my project's not solely focused on sound design. So I just want to focus on sound design. I've downloaded videos from YouTube, and then I did sound design of these videos, particularly for this program application. Is that fine or not? So what you're talking about is to give an example of sound design. This program has a sound design element. It is not focused on sound design. All right. So the sound is a multifaceted, multidisciplinary discipline, meaning that it crosses over a number of other disciplines. This approach of possibly doing ReSound design, so basically taking a video which already had sound and then recreating that using found sounds or recorded sounds in Foley, or a manipulation of sounds or creating them from an application such as Pro Tools or Logic. I mean, it's a fine approach. I would say, Sana, that you would need, that would be maybe one piece of your portfolio, but you would need other elements. I would not submit 5 pieces like that. That would not be applicable. But if it was one piece, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It would be better if it was an original film that you then did the sound for, rather than taking something that already had sound, because obviously you are aware of the sound design from the first piece of footage, and you're going to that's going to influence what you're going to do with it. Okay, so a lot of questions here, sorry, so I'll try and hurry through them. So for one professional recommendation letter, are there any requirements? For example, must it be written? Yes, ideally it should be written on an official headed paper. So if you're getting an academic reference from and it says this within the ReSound website, so if you're getting an academic reference from a former lecturer or an institute that you studied in, it must include it must be on academic paper, letterhead. So let me just, yeah, so ideally, sorry, I'm just clarifying on the website. It actually says ideally. So if it wasn't possible to do, but ideally it should be an official letterheaded paper. Now, we do check our references as well, so just be cognizant of that. I have a background in freelance music supervision for film and commercials. Can I include this in my portfolio along with my audio module from my previous degree? Okay, I mean, that could be interesting. Yeah. I mean, I think that would be something interesting. Again, a varied portfolio would be something that'd be great to see, where you have a number of skills and experiences. So that could be part of it, I think. Yeah. Anna then has, is having already 2 master's degree in cultural and media studies area can be a disqualification in terms of possibly receiving a scholarship. Okay, Anna, if you have previously received any scholarship within Europe or funded by the European Commission, unfortunately, you are not applicable for a Erasmus Plus scholarship. Okay, and that is one of the that is listed under the criteria in the ReSound website around the scholarships, that if you've previously received a Erasmus Plus or Erasmus scholarship, you cannot apply for another one. I'll just let me double check that while we're talking here. Yeah, so it says students who have already obtained an Erasmus Mundus Joint Master's scholarship for an Erasmus Mundus Master's course or a Joint Doctorate scholarship are not eligible to apply for additional scholarships under the EMJM action. Erasmus Plus scholarship holders cannot benefit from another EU-funded scholarship scheme to follow the same EMJM course. This holds the entire period of the course. So there may be a little vagaries. I'm not sure what kind of scholarships you've gotten, Anna, but it depends. You may not be applicable. So if you would like, you could drop an email to info at resound-ma.eu, and they could check specifically around that for you. Okay, Andreas, 1. Is it okay to submit different kinds of examples of the portfolio, say a film score and a max patch and an installation, or are you looking for or are you looking more for excellent in a specific field? No, a vary is. I'd love to see a variation, like in the different pieces you submit for your portfolio. If that's not possible, maybe you're someone who's worked as a composer or a sound designer or a filmmaker, and that's what you have. That's fine. Maybe you could do different variations in that. But if you have a number of disciplines, that'd be great. Now, I will say that I see you have written a max patch. I don't want you to send me the max patch as the portfolio. What you can do is, and I wrote it in the presentation, you could do a little 5-minute walkthrough of showing what it does. So there's a video, because I don't know if it has dependencies or I have the right version of Max. So don't submit any piece of software for your portfolio. A video walkthrough of any software is fine, but not the actual software itself. Do we need a laptop with us, or are we going to be facilities we'll be able to use to work with? There will be facilities for you to work with. We have a number of computer labs across the different institutes, which you will have access to complete this program. There's no specific requirement to have a laptop, but having access to a computer frequently does help. Okay, but there's no specific requirement for a computer within this program, so or even technical specifications. Having a computer is handy. It's very useful, especially around deadlines and if you have to work late, but there's no specific requirement for it. Alex, I'm a final year student in IADT in Creative Music Production, and I've finished my level 8 degree. I was wondering if I would still be applicable for this program if I don't get my results till June. Yes, Alex. Alex is a student of mine, actually, an undergrad level. Alex, you absolutely are applicable to apply for this program. I understand that some students might not receive their results until June, but what you could do is you could get a letter from your office indicating that you will receive them at that period of time. Now, just to be quite clear, and not specifically talking about Alex, but of any student who is completing their undergraduate degree at the moment. If per se you get offered a place in your program, in this program, and we are waiting for your academic transcripts to show that your result in your qualification, and then you don't pass that degree, or you fail a module, or you have to repeat it, we have the right to withhold or rescind the offer of a place on the program. So what I'm saying is, if you don't complete your degree, you'll have to go back and complete it before you can join this program. So if you're in the process of finishing your last semester now, you need to make sure you do well in that and you pass everything. Okay, Andreas, since I graduated years ago, is it okay if the academic recommendation comes from a professor that is no longer teaching at that institute? I think so, Andreas. I understand that point. I understand that. Yeah, I think that's fair. Just as long as there's a contact details that we can reach out to them on it. And I just need to just check what it says specifically around the letters of reference. And I'm just referring to the ReSound website here. So yeah, a business email and telephone number would need to be included so they could could contact them. To be clear, has taught there for years and was my professor back then. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. That sounds appropriate. Okay, I have another question. For the portfolio, do you only expect a time-based video and sound file with the captions of my role in the project? Or could it be a PDF with statistical visuals plus a media link? So I just want to maybe clarify a few things. If you looked at my slides and also if you look at the website, you were looking for 3 to 5 artifacts in up to 10 to 15 minutes. But in addition, you have to write a paragraph on each of those 3 to 5. So that's the piece. So you have to write a piece of text explaining what you did on those different elements. So specifically, it says, please include a short, reflective paragraph on each piece explicitly stating your role in the work. So if you submit 3, we need 3 paragraphs. You submit 5, we need 5 paragraphs describing your role in each of those 5. Okay, so that you do not need to do captions across the video unless there's something particular that you need us to draw attention to. And you can submit, as I was saying there, you can submit the audio files, the video files, or you could submit links to a portfolio website or resources that you actually have. If you wanted, if you had many videos together, it might be an idea to stitch them together. So we have one 15-minute video. That would be kind of handy. And you submit just that one video or the link to that one video as well would be very useful. Okay. That's the end of the questions. Would anyone, unless there's any more questions, we have another couple of minutes. Would anyone like to ask any more questions? Just give you a minute. There, maybe people are thinking. I think I got through all of those. Just to state again that I really want to highlight that from the outset is that the deadline has been extended to the 24th of March, which is 2 weeks away. It would have been 3 weeks yesterday, 24th of March. So please be cognizant of that. The portfolio is a bit of work. The application process is a bit of work. You can apply through the Erasmus Mundus portal, which you can get access to in the ReSound website. So just for a second, I see there's a few more questions, but just I'll show you everybody this. So what happens here is this is the ReSound website. I hope you can all see this. So you can see that it also states here that at the bottom that there's been the deadline has been extended and you can apply. So when you apply, you can read through all the requirements which I've discussed in detail and the selection criteria about how we shortlist students and about the English language proficiency. And then you apply here. This brings you to a external website, which is the Erasmus Mundus portal, which we use for all of our programs: Doc Nomads, Kino, Reanima, Film Memory, Replay. Cyber and Hygiena are not part of the Film EU consortium, but they're probably just from one partner. So you can see them all listed here. So this is where you can register and you log in and you put your full portfolio and your application process through this. So this is the website you need to have everything completed by the 24th of March at 5 Central European time. Okay. And as I said, if you had any particular questions, you could drop an email to this email here, info@resound-ma.eu. I'm sure there'll be a few. Michelle is at Murphy is at the end of that email, and I'm sure she'll be happy to answer some questions should you require them. I see one or two more questions, so let me just carry on. I've only got a few more minutes, so let me stop sharing the screen there. So go. Okay, Andreas, you mentioned about being able to collaborate with other people for the thesis project. Would that be the people within the program, or can we reach outside? Yeah, both. So if there was a scope for a really interesting large thesis project that could be within the program, or, as I said, we've all those other master's programs, and perhaps you wanted to do a composition or a large sound design for a huge project that you've heard about, that somebody is also working on, say from the film, the ReSound, or the Kino or the Doc Nomads. You could possibly collaborate with them. That's absolutely something we could see happening as well. It could be really, really interesting, I think. And Natasha, I am also curious, during the 3 semesters with coursework, how much time will I have for our own larger projects outside specific class projects? That'll vary massively, and it'll depend on your skill level on the various different disciplines. We're going to be testing you across multiple disciplines, whether they be creative, theoretical, practical, technical. So you may find some projects easier than others. It is a taught master's program. It is not with a research element. There will be classes, there will be tutorials, there will be labs, there will be things to be delivered and assignments to be delivered per module. So it's a lot of work. Okay. But you'll get a lot out of it as well. There's going to be some really interesting conversations and results from this program, I've no doubt. And I'm really looking forward to meeting some of you as well. Anyway, I have completed my bachelor's degree in mass communications, followed by a master's in filmmaking with a specialization in film editing. Which degree should I submit? My bachelor's or master's? You can do both. Okay. I think if you can't do both, I would do your higher end one as well. Okay. So whichever you can. So I would suggest that you do the higher of the two, which would be the master's. But I think you can submit both. Okay. Natasha, or is it only the last semester besides planning? Sorry, I just want to go back to your question. Sorry, Natasha. I'm curious about the 3 semesters coursework And we'll have time for larger projects. So as I think hopefully I've answered that. There's a lot of taught classes in the first 3 semesters, and the 4th semester is a largely driven by the individual students. You will, of course, have a project supervisor or team of project supervisors, and they will be supporting you to complete your project. So there'll probably be a little bit more flexibility in the 4th semester, but it depends on the scope of your project. If it's a very large project, you might be doing an awful lot of work on it every single day for the full semester, because we're looking for very high standards. So it really depends on that. I would say this will be your focus for the 2 years. However, it's also, the first summer, between Lusofana and LMTA, the summer is completely your own, so you could work on your own projects in that. The facilities can be used by students as well for course-related work. And depending on the institute, there may be scope for using some of the facilities beyond that as well. Would DARE be available like it was for a college and leaving cert? So this is a specific one Alex has for around Ireland. I'm not 100% sure. Alex, I would suggest you contact the admissions process in IADT. So admissions@iadt.ie, you should be able to answer that. Okay, I'm going to finish up quite soon, so I just want to be clear on that. We can send multiple films using links, using one PDF, and the same could also contain the paragraphs, right? I mean, I'd prefer if you submitted the video or audio files. I think we do say we allowed people to submit hyperlinks of it. The issue I would have is that with that is they need to be timestamped. So if you submit us a link for a video sharing platform and the deadline's 24th of March, and then we see that you've edited, re-uploaded, or changed it beyond that date, well, then that's not applicable because you've submitted it after the date. So if you submit the physical video files, then they're locked in and we know that you haven't the opportunity to change them. But depending on we do allow for portfolio websites that are timestamped, depending on if it's like a video sharing platform like Vimeo or YouTube, they will include an upload date on them as well. Okay, can the academic reference recommendation come from a professor who is also one of the professors on the program? Faustia, I think so. I think that's fair. Yeah. If you're in Lusofana, I presume you might be talking about Gonzalo or David or someone. That's absolutely fine. I think so. How many months is summer? Yeah. So in terms of the dates for the whole program, they vary from each year. All right. We're looking at it depends on where you are. Some semesters are 12 weeks and some are 15. Okay. But we're largely looking at June, July, and August being free for you to, in that first summer, for you to do your own networking or do some prep work for your projects or just travel around and enjoy Europe. But I should say that if you leave Europe and you return to your home country, which might be outside of Europe, I believe there are some restrictions around your stipend being paid in that. Okay, so so if you go home, let's say if you're from Australia or something and you go home for those 3-month period, I'm not sure if you continue to be paid your stipend for those 3 months, but then when you return, it is reissued to you as well. Okay, so during the summer, do you come back home, i.e. to Ireland or Dublin? If you're Alex is wondering that, you don't have to. You can go and explore Europe with your classmates and colleagues. You could go to one of your next institute if you wanted to. There's only one summer really in this program. It's the one between our second and third semester, between you finish in May, early June in Lusofana, and you start in LMTA then in September sort of time. So there's only that one summer. The second summer you will have finished the program in early June. And then the program is over at that time anyway. So so is that one summer. You can go to your home country, or you could go traveling around Europe. Is the stipend enough to cover travel and expenses? It depends. Okay, the reality is it depends, and I think it will go a long way to it, right? If you look through the scholarships, there's there is a cost on the tuition page. If I just show this for you again, like I'm not a student anymore. and I have never lived in Lithuania or Lisbon. But I know in Dublin that money would be tight enough. You could do it, especially if there was a few of you renting a place together. But it would be tight. It would be tight within Ireland anyway. But just to show you here, it is estimated students will need between 600 to 1,000 per month living expenses, and there's an element here where you can calculate the living cost per city. Different cities are more expensive than others, so it depends. What is not included? Participation costs in the tuition fee does not cover travel costs. So if you're a self-pay student, you still have to pay your travel costs between the different countries, and you will have to do that as well with the scholarship. So you have to pay for those flights, and also the scholarship doesn't start till you land in Dublin. So the scholarship does not include paying for your flight to get to Dublin. You need to do that yourself. Okay? So you will need to get to Ireland yourself to start this program, and then the scholarship will be starting from when you land in Ireland. It doesn't cover travel documents, passports, living expenses and things like that. That's for the scholarship, but even self-pay is the same. I should also say one other element which I didn't mention is, and it's very particular to certain people coming from different countries, is could be visa. One of the other things you'll have to do is apply for a visa. So the moment you get your application, you get your offer, you should apply for a visa, okay, for Ireland. That process can only happen maybe, I think it's about 2.5 months before you intend to arrive. And depending on what country you're from, it could be more complicated than others. Some would be easy. If you're within the European Union, there's no need for a visa. If you're from outside Europe, there's some very particular requirements, and they will all be forwarded on to you. We have in the past, in the Film EU, people have been offered places on our programs and could not get a visa, and unfortunately weren't able to take those up. So we have no control over your ability to get a visa. Okay, you have to do that yourself. And then once you've done that, you're in Ireland. You then also need to get another visa to go to Lisbon. But the same visa to go to Lisbon is the one that'll get you into LMTA. And that's because you've entered what's called the Schengen Agreement. But Ireland is outside of that. So you need a visa to come to Ireland, and then you need a visa to go to the Schengen area, which includes Lisbon and Lithuania. Okay? So that's up to the students themselves. However, I will say that we have some good support staff here who can help you with that process as well, and who have a lot of experience within it. Okay. Okay. Can an academic recommendation come from a supervisor? Yeah, we've already done that. So, do you mean I can collaborate with other EMJMD students for my final project? Maybe is the answer to that. Now, it would have to line up. Okay, so there's a lot of that's why I'm saying, Mohammed, that's a maybe, because it depends what their timeline is, and it depends what your timeline is. I think could be a great collaboration if we could get the right project and the right people involved. So I'm not saying no, but I'm saying maybe is what I could say for that. And you never know, we could build some relationships as a result of this. Like, for example, Kino and we have an element of that in Ireland, and Film Memory we do as well. And in Lusofona, they have all of the master's programs that we just mentioned there are within Lusofona as well. But we have other partners as well. Like, there's partners in Belgium. We have a good colleague in Belgium who we did some work on this program as well. So around sound and sound art. So they're in Luca. So there's lots of potential within this. Okay, and then I'm going to finish very shortly, I'm afraid, folks, because we're kind of over time. But so if there's the last couple of questions, please throw them in. So hi, can the final project be a combination of audio-visual art? For example, documentary installation with sound design. That's great. That sounds great, Mohammed. Yeah, I like the sound of that. It can be varied, depends on you and your interests and your experiences, but something like that sounds brilliant. Yeah. But it would be very like that's an example project. But of course, that has to be refined through group crits and talking to a supervisor and getting supports and seeing, what the facilities are that you will require for that project. So it's potentially a good idea for a project, or it's kind of not good idea, but a good area for your project. But there's lots of things that need to be worked out. But I like the sound of it anyway. Okay, I've got time for one or two more ones. If there's any more questions, please throw them in, folks. I got to finish now, shortly. Okay, so I'll just give you another couple of seconds. So just to say, I'm Conor Brennan. I work here in IADT in Ireland, but I'm also a member of the Film EU consortium, and I've worked on that for a number of years. You can email info@resound-ma.eu for more information or clarification on anything that I've said to this evening. Here it is here. There you go. And if there are no more questions, folks, I want to say best. Oh, here we are. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah. What kind of job opportunities after the program are envisaged? Catalina. Right. So, Catalina, this program is the very first time it's ever run. So, we'll only know where our graduates end up as a result of them finishing the program. We would see them being employable in a number of audio and sound related fields, whether that is in audio post-production, film post-production, video games, art, sound and sound art, media-related disciplines, research-related disciplines, perhaps even health-related disciplines as well. We'll only really start seeing that as a result of our students pushing out into the world, because this is a unique program. You're going to be in a class with students from all over the world who have all different experiences of what sound is like in their countries, and they're going to be bringing in wonderful experiences as well, and we're going to hopefully have a wonderful mix of skills and ideas, and you never know where this program could bring you, to be honest with you. Perhaps even further study as a PhD as well. That could be something we would see as well for further research beyond this. Okay. All right, everyone. I just want to say thank you very much. I have to finish there. I'm over time. I really enjoyed this chat. And like this has really been a real love, like a real passion project for me. With a number of other colleagues, we didn't do it on. Nobody did it on their own. We did it together. But this is something that I've been dreaming of and working towards for a number of years. So I'm really looking forward from these really interesting questions to getting to know and meet some of you, either through the interview process or if you're successful, all the way through to when you arrive in Dublin in September. And if you're unlucky this year, please try again next year. But it is really an exciting program that I have been working very, very hard on, and the number of team are. So it's really very, very unique, and there's a lot of potential for it. So it's something that we can see having a real impact in a European context and even a local context and beyond anyway. So thanks so much. We'll finish up there. And if you have any more questions, I've put the email up there, and there'll be more resources on the ReSound website. There's some really interesting stuff. Great. So 24th of March, 5 o'clock Central European time. Please have all your application done. Or sooner the better, because I'm predicting a little bit of a push. So I don't want to get so please try and get them in a few days before. But that's what we're looking at. Thank you, everyone. We'll say goodbye there. I appreciate it.